Hello everyone, today I am going to do Act 1, Scene 3 of the play Merchant of Venice. I have divided the scene into two parts and today we are going to do only part 1. The scene is set in a street in Venice and the characters present are Bassanio, Antonio and Shylock. I have given a link below taken from the site called Course Hero. If you want to watch it before the module, you can do so, or after the module. That's up to you. This will just give you a brief summary of the scene. So let's begin. According to you, what do you think taking a loan means? And do you think it's right? Do you think taking a loan is a sin or is it an evil thing? Okay, think about it and we will discuss more on that issue when we meet online. So let's begin. Again, I'd like to reiterate that the scene is set in a street in Venice and the characters present there are Bassanio and Shylock. They enter the scene. So Shylock says, he's talking to Bassanio and he says 3,000 ducats. Well, I mean, do you want 3,000 ducats? Yes, sir, for 3 months. Yeah, of course, I need it for 3 months. For 3 months, well, Bassanio says, for the which, as I told you, Antonio shall be bound. You don't have to worry, Antonio will be the guarantor. Antonio shall be bound. Well, may you stead me? I mean, can you help me? Will you pleasure me? Will you do me a favor? Shall I know your answer? I mean, can you give me an answer whether you can lend me the money or not? So again, Shylock pauses very dramatically. 3,000 ducats for 3 months and Antonio bound. Oh, okay. You want 3,000 ducats for 3 months and Antonio shall be bound. So Bassanio is getting impatient. Give me your answer to that. Are you going to lend me the money? So Shylock says, okay, Antonio is a good man. So Bassanio replies, I mean, have you heard anything against, something against Antonio? Have you heard any statement contrary to what I'm saying right now? Have you heard that? So Shylock says, oh, no. My meaning in saying he's a good man is to have you understand that he's sufficient. What I meant was, I'm just thinking that this man has sufficient money to be the guarantor. He can, cover the loan. Yet his means are in supposition. I mean, I have slight doubt about the guarantee of whether he will return the money or whether about his investment. Generally, I have a kind of a doubt about the risk of his investment. He hath an argosy. Argosies are huge merchant ships. Rich merchant ships. He has a ship bound for Tripolis, another to the Indies. I understand moreover upon the Rialto he hath a third at Mexico, a fourth for England, and other ventures he had squandered abroad. So I have heard that when I went to the Rialto, that's the business district in Venice, that he has so many ships, one bound to Tripolis, one bound to Mexico, one bound for England, and one bound for the Indies, and in fact his ships scattered all over the world. But I am not too happy because ships are but fragile planks of wood. I mean, ships are obviously made of wood. It's very fragile. Sailors are human. I mean, sailors are mortal. They can die any time. There can be rats, there can be land rats, there can be water rats. In this he means thieves. Water thieves, land thieves, I mean pirates. And then there is a peril of waters, winds and rocks. So these are the dangers that his ship might encounter. There might be pirates attacking, there might be some of the sailors dying, and there may be, storms, there may be huge rocks hitting, ships hitting against you. Anything is possible, he says. So that's a bit risky. But despite all that, I think he's got good wealth, he says. Be assured you may. You don't have to worry about that. He's got enough. I'll be assured I may, and that I may be assured I will bethink me. So I'm sure he can afford to stand as a guarantor before, and I'm sure about that before I make the loan, and I'll think, but I think of a way of making sure that the loan is also being returned. He says. So can I speak with Antonio? I mean, Shylock says, may I speak with Antonio? If it please you to dine with us. Okay, so why don't you come for dinner tonight? So Shylock says, yes, to smell pork, to eat of the habitation which your prophet the Nazarite conjured the evil into. I will buy with you, sell with you, talk with you, walk with you, and so following, but I will not eat with you, drink with you, nor pray with you. What news in the Rialto? Who is he who comes here? Yeah, of course, you are inviting me to smell pork, pigs, that is pork is pig's meat, to eat of the habitation, I mean, to come and eat in a place where they serve pork, which your prophet, now he's talking about Jesus of Nazareth. He there's a story which goes to say that once he saw two men being having been possessed by the devil. He was trying to remove the devil from within their bodies, and when he removed the devil from within the bodies, he transferred it onto the herd of pigs. So from then on, neither Muslims nor Jews ever ate, they never eat pork meat. They eat every other meat but except pork. So Shylock says, I can do business with you, I can talk to you, I'll walk with you, but I'm not going to eat with you or drink with you or even pray with you. And then he says, what is the other news on the Rialto? What other news is there? And then he says, oh wow, who's coming here? And that's when Antonio enters. This is Senor Antonio. You don't know that? This is. And then Shylock as an aside. Aside means talking to himself. Now the whole play is being staged, right? So how will the audience read the character's mind? So what Shakespeare normally does is he makes the characters, when they think, to think aloud. That means to say things what they're thinking aloud. People on the stage are not able to hear it, but people the audience can hear them. Obviously people on stage can hear, but they act as though they cannot hear. The audience will be able to hear. How like a fawning publican he looks. I hate him, for he's a Christian. Look at this man. He looks like a groveling tax collector. Groveling means bending over backwards to please someone. I hate him, for he's a Christian. I just can't stand him because he's a Christian. But more because of that simple-minded view that he has of lending out money free. And that's what brings down the rate of interest here with us in Venice. So Shylock's business is obviously lending money. So he says, because of this man's nature of giving money free without charging interest, my business is affected, and I'm the one who's in trouble. And the interest rates in Venice are going down. So if I can catch him once upon the hip, I will feed fat the ancient grudge I bear him. So if only once I could get the upper hand, or if I could gain an advantage, I will take full advantage of that grudge. Grudge is that feud that they have against each other. With each other. Feud that they have against. It's a long-standing feud. It's been there going on for a long time. This enmity. I bear him. He hates our sacred nation, and he rails. Even there, where the merchants most congregate, on me, my bargains, and my well-worn thrift, cursed be my tribe if I forgive him. So he has been, abusing me, insulting me at the congregation where all the merchants meet, where the meeting of all the merchants take place, and he has laughed at my prophet, and he has scorned at my, bargains, and he says, if I cursed be a tribe if I forgive him, curse upon my tribe, insult. It's an insult to all the Jews if I forgive him. All this is being said aside. So Bassanio is asking him, Shylock, do you hear? Can you hear me? He was talking to Shylock, and then Bassanio, I'm debating of my present store. He says, yeah, of course. I'm thinking about the amount of money that I have in stock right now. And by the near guess of my memory, I cannot instantly raise up the gross. I have a feeling that I can't give you the entire amount of 3,000 ducats. What of that? Tubal, a wealthy Hebrew of my tribe, that means a friend. His friend's name is Tubal, and who belongs to the same, Jewish community as Shylock. will be ready to provide the money. He says, of course he'll be able to furnish the money. But soft, how many months do you desire? Okay, so tell me again how many months you desire to have that money. How many months do you require the money for? Then he looks at Antonio and he says, rest you fair, good seigneur, your worship was the last man in our mouth. Oh, we were just talking about you. We were just talking about you, and you came. We were just talking about you. He says, what is that people normally says? You live 100 years. Don't you remember when you're talking about someone and when the person comes in between, you say, oh, you're going to live 100 years because we just spoke about you. Shylock is not saying he's going to live 100 years. He was just saying that, okay, we're just talking about you. Shylock, albeit I neither lend nor borrow, by taking nor by giving of excess, yet to supply the ripe wants of my friend, I'll break a custom. So, although I don't borrow or lend money by giving an interest, I have no choice but to break the habit because of the desperate need of my friend. And then he turns to Bassanio to ask, is he yet possessed? I mean, does he know how much is the amount? How much he is willing to give? 3,000 ducats. Yeah, of course, it is 3,000 ducats. And I had forgot 3 months, and then this Shylock is just trying to, sort of build up a kind of a drama-like thing. He's trying to play up. I mean, now he's got an advantage, so he's trying to, like how you bait someone, you sort of nettle someone since you feel you have the upper hand. Same way, he's just baiting them. I forgot 3 months, and then he turns to Bassanio. You told me so. I mean, I think you told me that. And then he moves to Antonio and he says, well, then you're born. Let me see. But here methought you said you neither lend nor borrow upon advantage. I thought you never borrowed money, charging interest and all that. I do never use it. When Jacob grazed his uncle Laban's sheep, this Jacob from a holy Abraham was as his wise mother wrought in his behalf, the third possessor. He was a third. So Shylock saying, when Jacob is one of the prophets or one of the revered people in the Jewish community, and in fact Shylock keeps bringing Jacob's name throughout the play. Jacob is something like a role model for Shylock. Says when Jacob was taking care of his uncle Laban's sheep, and then he says, this Jacob, he's from a holy Abraham, means he's the grandson of Abraham, father Abraham, who's supposed to be the holiest of the holy. He's the holy father of the Jews. Was as his wise mother wrought in his behalf, the third possessor. So Jacob was a favorite of his mother, and always his mother fought for him and fought all his rights and gave it to him. And although he was the third possessor, that means he was the third in line of inheriting something. He was only the third possessor. There were two above him who was actually the right person to be the higher, but the birthright actually. But Jacob, his mother was very for him gaining the best of him or whatever. And then Antonio says, and what of him? Did he take interest? Okay, why are you telling me Jacob's story? Did he take interest? Now, about the Abrahamic religion, that is Jewish Christianity and Judaism, Christianity and Muslim Islamic religion, they're all they're called the Abrahamic religions, and they all have they share the same history, they share the same references, they share the same thing, but at one point of time in the history they have actually rooted out into 3 different religions. In fact, Jesus himself was a Jew. Okay, so I'll share with you something more when I meet you online. So the allusion here is given here. Jacob was made the third in line through the cleverness and deception of his mother Rebecca, who substituted Jacob. Jacob had a brother called Esau, so that Jacob would receive Isaac's blessing and inheritance, making him the third in line from Abraham. So that's the mother's idea of tricking the husband to give Jacob his share. she didn't want Esau to get it, who rightly deserved it. This deception is what Shylock calls a wise action. Shylock is a justifying deceptive practice of usury. Usury is lending money by charging interest, by citing a biblical precedence of the deception. Shylock then goes on to tell how Jacob deceived Laban and thereby prospered. Both stories are taken out of context, and Shylock is herein using biblical passages to justify his deceptive practice of usury, which he called thrift and blessing. So this is the small story which I will tell you. It's there on the second slide and the next slide, and I'll give you more details about that. And what of him? Did he take interest? I mean, did Jacob no, he didn't charge interest, not as you would say directly interest. Mark what Jacob did when Laban and himself were compromised, that all the evenings which were streaked and pied should fall as Jacob's hire. The ewes being rank in the end of autumn turned to rams, and when the work of generation was between these woolly breeders in the act, the skillful shepherd peeled me certain wands, and in the doing of the deed of the kind, he stuck them up before the fulsome ewes, who then, conceiving, did in evening time fall party coloured lambs, and those were Jacob's. This was a way to thrive, and he was blessed. And thrift is a blessing if men steal not. No. Jacob did not charge an interest, not in what you mean. But look what Jacob actually did. Jacob had gone to his uncle Laban, and he and his uncle Laban agreed that all the spotted lambs which were to be born in the after the breeding season, if the lambs were born spotted or striped, Jacob would get it, he said, and that would all belong to Jacob. And since it was the autumn season, it was the mating season, and it was believed that the newborn looked like whatever would look like or would appear to be like whatever the mother sheep looked at. If the mother sheep looked at something, that would have transferred into the baby sheep in the stomach. That's what was the belief. So what Jacob did, he took some spotted branches from trees and placed it in front of the pregnant placed it in front of the ground where the sheep mated. And when the sheep conceived and there was a sheep, the sheep became pregnant, he put this branch in front of the mother sheep, and when she saw it and when she delivered the baby eelings, a baby sheep, all of them became spotted and striped, and lo and behold, who got all the spotted and striped one? Jacob. So that's how Jacob profited, he gained. So and then he was blessed, he says, and thrift is a blessing, and I think he says getting a profit is a blessing if men don't steal it. This was a venture, sir, that Jacob served for, a thing not in his power to bring to pass, but swayed and fashioned by the hand of heaven to bring to pass. I don't think it's Jacob's work to make the sheep spotted or anything. It is the work of God. God is the one who's created the creatures spotted and striped. I mean, I have a feeling you have built up or created the story just to, make sure that charging interest is not a sin. It serves just to make sure that charging an interest makes sense. I think you are making up the story. And then he asked, are your interest payments like Jacob's sheep? He asked. I cannot tell. I make it breed as fast. I can hardly tell the difference. He says, I can multiply this as fast as the sheep can multiply, he says. So that means he's making a lot of profit. Sorry about that. So Antony says, mark you this, Bassanio. The devil can cite scriptures for this purpose. An evil soul producing holy witness is like a villain with a smiling cheek, a goodly apple rotten at the heart. Oh, what a goodly outside falsehood has. So look at this Bassanio, look at this guy. He's the devil, and he's trying to quote the lines from the holy book. It looks like an evil. A devil is producing some witness. It's like he's giving a witness for his sin. He's quoting from the holy books. He's like a villain with a smiling. He's like a smiling villain. A goodly apple. He looks outside. He looks like a good apple, but inside he's rotten to the core. Oh, what a goodly outside falsehood hath. Look at the way how liars or sinners appear to be very sweet from the outside, he says. Shylock is not too bothered. He says 3,000 ducats. This is a good round sum, 3 months from 12. Then let me see the rate. He says, okay, you want 3,000 ducats? Let me. Now that we are at the end of the session, that is part 1 of Act 1, Scene 3, just to find out whether we have understood the session, I've listed down a few questions. You can solve them in your perforated sheets, and in case you have any doubts, you can get back to me when we are doing the online session. Thank you.